dad who was dying from cancer, that if the nurses caught me, I would be reported to the military police and I would be arrested. And I went every single night and I watched that baseball game with him. And then I went every single night and I watched the football games. Whatever was on at 9 o'clock at night, I went and sat with my dad. Maybe had someone watching the door, but we were there, and we gave him the oil every night. Didn't save his life, but it did make his symptoms a lot more bearable. And I don't want to see other people having to suffer and not be able to have access to that, or having to hide and sneak and feel ashamed meeting in the parking lot, afraid of losing their benefits, which, by the way, they are not doing. They are not taking away the benefits for the veterans. What they are doing is, if you are on a pain medication regimen, they may take that away and allow you to do either cannabis or your pain meds. So there's a little difference there, but they're not taking away the benefits.
So when I got out, I served in the reserve unit out of Tops of Maine, actually, Alpha Company up here with the Marine Corps, and after I got out, it wasn't too hard to get a job or anything because I was already in the community. I ended up getting a job with the Department of Corrections, which a lot of people don't really know about, but I ended up working there, and that is the worst job in the world to work if you are a vet with PTSD or any other problems. And for me to navigate and try and find the benefits I needed, like Kyle said, a lot of those organizations, DAV, VFW, American Legion, they're out there, and those are the ones that you should be touching base with and talking to. There's a lot of other local nonprofits out there that are doing the same, that have equal or better access, and they're willing to jump through hoops too. And in the beginning, when I first started working, I was helping out veterans that didn't really understand how to go about their claims, and working with guys that were at my job, and when I was helping them find access to these caregivers like VAS or DAV and other organizations, like I ended up seeing that it was more of a network amongst veterans. And the biggest thing that I've seen in my life is, and the things that I think that most veterans should do, is create that support system for yourself. And basically, if you don't have a support system in any way, you're going to end up isolating yourself. And that's another huge problem with veterans these days. And isolation, in my opinion, leads to suicide or leads to a lot of other problems, because when you're sitting in a room all by yourself, I mean, there's nothing else you can think of than, why the hell should I be here? And that's something that we try to get vets out of the house, link with the people that, understand that. And only veterans really understand what other veterans are going through. So a lot of times that's who I talk to, and that's the support system that I build up around myself. And then from there, it's become what we all have now, and it's how I've met Catherine, how I've met them and over here, and Dan and everybody else. And it's amazing, honestly, what the cannabis community has done for me to be able to link to all these other veterans. It's overwhelming at times, but it's amazing to see the compassion that the cannabis community actually has for veterans, and what we've been through and what we're going through. And I think, it's something that's truly amazing that everybody here is very supportive of it. And I think that if we're able to link together more as a community and come together and help people out, normalizing cannabis by talking about it, telling them how it helps us, like being on these panels and explaining that to people, it's going to start changing minds, and those stigmas are going to go away. Those stigmas are going to go away once you normalize it.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Ellen, can you repeat the question? Services after you're out.
So veterans, once they get out of the service, they have many different obstacles they face. So what do you think some of those obstacles are, and then what advice would you give them to overcome it?
I remember immediate decompression is what was required for me, and that took about 5 years. Just like all the stuff that's drilled into your head, you gotta I had to undrill it, because I wasn't a healthy person, being that, angry, amped up, trained piece of equipment. Like I said before, the VA, and I hate the VA, I avoid the VA like the plague, but getting those benefits square, it's really, really important. And then once that's done, you just figure out what you want to do. If you want to take the medications that they want to give you, and just be kind of a hopped up, machine, honestly, it's safer for the rest of the population for some vets to be medicated like that. I have a friend that's like heavily, dangerously schizophrenic, and he gets an injection every month. And I mean, like, all pharmaceuticals aren't bad, just like, you know, most of them. If I did what the VA said to do, I'd be on 10 different medications right now. I mean, I smoke cannabis. I don't even take dabs. I make the stuff, but I'll take it to try it. But you know, it's just too much for me. Just figuring out what's right for you, whether cannabis is involved or not. It's just like chilling out and being a normal, productive, semi-responsible human being, you know, outside of the military. You know, there's hundreds of thousands of us now, you know, and the government has to be nice to us. You know, because we're trained and we can do. We're like a lot of us get together. You know, the things like after World War I, the VA got started because vets were so pissed off they were sleeping out and making Hoovervilles. You know, out in Washington D.C. There, it's just I don't know what's gonna happen next. I mean, with the cannabis thing and people. I mean, God, when I first moved to Maine, like Glenn and Catherine at Homegrown, right over here. Like I've never been. I like ate food with these people and coming from California where it's very much like, give us your gear, kid, get out, we'll pay you $10 less than you want. It's a much different feel here in Maine. And I really gotta love and thank those people for that. It's not like that everywhere. Lots of folks just wander out to California with very little skill and, you know, go out there with a backpack and learn the hard way. That's sort of what I did. I slept in a shed to learn the trade that I got. Nowadays, there's investors and sponsorships and you know, people that were selling shoes before this that are now industry professionals. It's just we just got to adapt. You know, the people with the skills, you know, just need to adapt that a lot of that old black market stuff that, you know, some of us have to, you know, legal stuff. It's just and God, like, all veterans have very unique skill sets. Like, we're not the same. We've been just the fact that we've been broken down, even in basic training, they break you right down and they build you right back up the way they want you. I spent a lot of time trying to just decompress my own damn head. But yeah, just in general, I would say the VA and benefits is the most important thing to do when you get out anyway.
Thank you.
As far as me, I wasn't in the military. I've been shot 3 times and never left the country. I was in that war on drugs. I was on the other team for a long time, you know what I mean? And, so me, when I deal with a lot of the veterans and I first meet them, they always ask me, well, what branch are you in? I wasn't. We talk a lot about PTSD. Yeah, I've been shot in the head. I get it. I got shot in the chest. I had a lung collapse. You know, it was a different war. You know, we all got PTSD from all kinds of stuff. Getting that stuff out and talking about it. Sometimes just telling your own story to somebody. That gives them enough guts to muster up some strength to tell you something about something that they tried to keep secret. You know, secrets keep us sick. You know, whether it's PTSD, whether it's dope, whether it's whatever. You know, we don't get stuff. We're big emotions factories. We don't get it gets the shipping and receiving. You know, we don't ship it, you know, get it out to where it's got to go to. We keep piling up until we snap. And I was like towards the end of my addiction, I was a meth cook for 14 years. I made it out, thank God. I got some of my senses, most of my teeth. You know, but when you deal with the veterans that are coming back, just, you know, be real. Just don't bullshit them. Don't act like you've been somewhere you ain't been. You can't pass. I went to a drug rehab one time. Drug rehab, the counselor said, I know what you're going through. I said, man, I used to shoot meth. No. Coke? No. I read a lot about it. No freaking clue what I'm going through. So I read a lot about it. Until you've been through it, you don't know.
Thank you. And time sure flies. So what I'm going to do now is I wanted to ask you, where can people find you later to follow up, and then parting words, and then after that we're going to spend the last 10 minutes taking questions for the audience. So start thinking about what questions you'd like to ask our fantastic panelists.
Well, you can find me walking around or at the NEVA table, trying to associate with many people. Otherwise, I'd be happy to network with everybody. Thank you for your time and listening to us and what we have to say. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Homegrown Healthcare and Medical Marijuana Caregivers Maine both have booths here. We're down in the lower end, but we're located in Winthrop, Maine, and we're open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 4. And one last thing that I'd just like to encourage other people that are here that have businesses and use people to help with their labor or in running their business is to look towards the veterans. I know for our trade show, we have the veterans help us with our security team. At the center, we have veterans that help us in the center as well. So I just want to encourage everybody, even if you just had one vet that you could help. Sometimes it's difficult to assimilate back into the working world with a regular job, and they're great workers.
You can find us, New England Veterans Alliance, over at booth 84 on the left side over here by the pub. And you can also find us on Instagram, Neva Farms, or New England Veterans Alliance, on Facebook, any social media thing you can think of, or you can look on nevausa.org.
Any parting words?
Thanks for coming. NECANN's awesome. And reach out to every veteran you can and tell them, let them know that you support them and that you're there for them, and that there are other options. And that obviously there's plenty of options. It's just linking them to those options.
Usually you can find me wherever there's really good cannabis or trim to be had. You can find me on Friday nights. Winthrop, we have an addiction support recovery group. Catherine runs it at Homegrown Healthcare. You can also find me on Facebook. I'm Elmo Francis Warburg. I run a 25% type troll group called National Trichome Society. We like to post pictures of our gear and troll people that we don't like. Yeah, thank you very much.
Honest.
This is the best policy, Elmo. My name is Dennis. I'm with Genesis Farm on Facebook. That's pretty much the only way to get in touch with me. Everybody, I've been here for a few years. We do a lot of festivals up in Harmony, Maine, at Freedom Field with Donnie Christian and the Maine Vocals. We've been stepping out there, having some fun. Got one more festival coming up next weekend up there. Come check it out. It's going to be a blast. Last one of the year. Harvest Fest, so come on, bring your big buds and see how big buds can be. I hear a lot of people talk about growing. I see a lot of buds. And this year's been kind of funny, you know what I mean? It's been kind of funny. People, everybody and their brother's got a seed in the backyard. Look at this, man, look at this. I'm like, oh, cool. And they asked me to smell it. It's like, yeah, hey. It smells like hay. Just take your time to be good to each other. I used to be a hopeless dope fiend. Now I'm a dopeless hope fiend. Cannabis changed my life. It's changed a lot of other people's lives. Just be good to each other. If you guys need to get in touch with me on Facebook, Lynn and Catherine know how to get hold of me. All these guys sit on the panel. We're all friends on Facebook. That's how they got me here, trying to be a mention. If I don't know you, send me a friend request. Let me know that I met you. Seen you down there. You might know somebody needs some help, somebody to talk to. And if you know anybody else running into anybody that's running into that problem, sit down and talk to them. You might keep that 22 a day down to 20 a day, maybe 19 a day, maybe none a day.
Thank you. So with that in mind, we have a fantastic panel here. Does anybody have any questions for any of our panelists?
I don't have any questions, but I just want to say,
I don't really have a question. I just want to say thanks. Not only for your service, I have a very similar story, more towards yours. I was a prisoner of this drug war. I was a POW, and I could only imagine, that kind of thing. But mostly it's just thanks and keep up the good work, man. Like, honestly, and whatever I can do and what our organization can do to help you guys, and then I want to be able to do that. So thank you.
And does anyone have any questions? We have cultivators here, extraction artists here, educators here, all activists here. Here's a good question. Did any of you think you would be here today when you initially got started? What got you started here?
No, actually, I never smoked marijuana or tried any drugs until after I got out of the military, so I was like 26. What got me here is the fact that one day I was a patient at the VA, and I saw that I had a quarter of this table full of pill bottles, and I was like, fuck that, man. And so I started smoking weed, and so I never imagined that I would ever be participating in things like this, but fuck the social stigma about it. People need to learn about it and open their eyes. So yeah.
Thank you. Perfect. Come on up. And we will get to these stories.
Earlier this year I was working with, it was Veteran Services, in a local city in Massachusetts. And one of the biggest challenges was medical, if you have a medical, like testing, and losing your job, you know? And so is there any experience or like recommendations about how a veteran could also protect their employment and still have medical cannabis?
Niacin works pretty good. I smoked grass when I was in the military, and I used niacin to beat the test. You know, it works sometimes. I mean, they sell these like flush drinks at head shops. I mean, anything to beat the system. Anything with drug testing is immoral anyway, so screw whoever that is. Yeah, but niacin, flush drinks, things like that. Come on.
Or find another caregiver that wants to bring on some trimmigrants and then start growing some cannabis.
And just for the record, those two people right there have an incredible soil company that
Yes, they
produces
do.
some of the
Yes.
finest grass that I've ever personally seen.
I would also say, to answer that question, something else to think about would be law and cannabis reform. That's a huge part of the problem, especially because cannabis is still a Schedule I substance, meaning according to the federal government, it has no medicinal use. It isn't safe even under the supervision of a doctor, yet at the same time, since 2003, the government has owned the patent on cannabis, 6630507. Google it. So with that in mind, we need to break the stigma. We need to educate our local legislation, our state, and then the federal government. And with that in mind, Catherine, you do so much activism. How'd you get here?
Well, let me just piggyback on that one. Here in Maine, we did legislate through the medical marijuana program law that employers cannot discriminate against cannabis patients. So it is important to have your card. If you do not have your card and there is an issue, you need to explain that this was your medicine, that you are a patient, and you just weren't able to get your card for whatever reason. Because we do have an affirmative defense in the medical program that is not found in recreational. So it is very, very important that we keep both the medical and the recreational programs separate and protect the patient's rights. That also will protect the veterans.
Absolutely.
And I got involved because of my husband.
Yes.
Everything that they said is basically what I would have said. There's things like, you know, the job fairs that are out there. We've been to some last year, and I remember walking around. There was people from so many different organizations, Home Depot to state police to military recruiters, and every single one I walked down, I asked, said, how are you handling patients that are dealing with medical cannabis? And half the time they didn't even understand the question, and they were like, what is cannabis? And I said, weed, and they were just completely oblivious to what it actually is, what it does for us. And I just would try and talk to them about them and educate them on it. And I think it just takes more people questioning their employers, questioning things like, and getting them to change the policies of these places. And a lot of these bigger companies like Home Depot and Lowe's or anything like that are changing policies, but they're waiting for research to come out. But like Ellen said, it's still a Schedule I drug, and it's a huge problem because nobody's really taking that research into consideration or even looking more further into it. So I think if people are just questioning their employees and asking them to change stuff, that's a good way to maybe initiate conversations and educate them on it as well.
Fantastic. Does anyone else have any questions for our panelists? Awesome. So with that in mind, Catherine, yes, you want to come on up?
So I'm a veteran myself. I know a lot of veterans in my area, which is way down East Maine, who may not have the ability or the time to go to winter. Would you be willing to maybe start a conversation where we could do something down east?
Absolutely. We'd all get together and get you guys set up down in Southern Maine, and you can run your own groups.
Not Southern Maine. Opposite.
Down east?
Down east.
I live
up
right
north.
outside Belfast.
Yeah, we're Sullivan.
Yeah, there's like all these little towns. People are doing just like what the rest of these people are doing and opening these shops. I mean, Christ, where are you exactly?
Yeah, we're about 15, 20 minutes north of Ellsworth.
Yeah, I don't know where that
We're
is.
about an hour from you.
Yeah. You're up there, man. You need a shop in Ellsworth. You should open
We
it up.
have a shop.
You have a shop?
Yes.
We're Hippie Hideaway.
We're Hippie Hideaway. You saw us in the
Oh, right on. So do you guys have a delivery service?
No.
That would be kind of I could see that as being a thing way up there where there's not a hell of a lot of people. veteran RAN delivery service?
I think it speaks to the volume of the need of networking and just keeping in touch with each other somehow.
Yeah, absolutely, it would be a conversation we could have anywhere in the state of Maine. If a group wants to get started, we'll help them out.
And that's a fantastic question. What the gentleman is doing is seeing resources, realizing he could be a resource, and how do I get those resources to my town? And this is the New England Cannabis Convention, so states like Maine and Massachusetts, we already have a recreational program trying to be rolled out. We're waiting for, New Hampshire, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Vermont to come online. So going with activists that have already put in the work and been in on the ground floor to come help you get your infrastructure taken care of would be fantastic. And they are all here to do that. And they're going to be here throughout the entire day throughout this convention. And with that in mind, does anybody have any last questions for our panelists? Awesome. So can we please give them a huge round of applause? And thank you all so much for coming. We appreciate it. Come on up and ask any questions if you have any.
Yeah.